Welcome to episode 141 of the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business. I'm Brian Fisher. Are you a business owner or executive searching for practical strategies to grow your company? This podcast series focuses on the various subjects and topics to help you run a successful, profitable business, and is targeted to business owners and C-suite executives. But anyone interested in business can benefit. It reflects my 34 years as a business owner and subsequent years as a business mentor and consultant. They're approximately 15 minutes long, so you can listen while commuting. In a previous episode, 140, our guest was Stacy Hyland, discussing finding hidden profits. Today's episode discusses scaling profitability with dashboards and KPIs with Nick Avaria. Based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, Nick Avaria is the founder of Agency Acquisitions, a company that helps companies make top quartile profit and employees make top quartile wages. Let's welcome Nick Avaria. Nick, welcome to the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thanks for joining us today, Nick. Nick, I'm always interested in people's stories. What's your background becoming the founder of Agency Acquisitions, a company that helps companies make top quartile profit and their employees make top quartile wages?
You know, my history is kind of like a longer one, but I'll keep it short too. I used to be straight out of university. I was working on industrial services, B2B service businesses, and I was doing quite a bit of mergers and acquisitions with them. I then transitioned into agency, which really was working in this M&A kind of area, then consulting, and then consulting became agency, right? So we had like an agency within our consulting practice. So bought and sold a couple of agencies there using my M&A practice from before within the agency space. And really what I do now day to day is that I help consult businesses on how to make these like higher quartile profits through a couple of key tenets, one of them being dashboards and KPIs and how to set those up properly so that they actually take effect in your business.
Well, that's spot on with this episode's topic, which is scaling profitability with dashboards and KPIs. What dashboards and KPIs are required so you know that you're hitting your mark?
Yeah, I mean, like, look, if we're talking about an entire business holistically, I'm just going to rattle off all the ones that to me are the most important. So a sales and marketing dashboard, which are basically like 2-in-1. You need some sort of client retention or client churn dashboard if you are B2B and you want longer lifetime value with client, like you definitely need that dashboard. A client satisfaction dashboard of some kind as well. If you are more performance-based, you're going to need some sort of client retention dashboard, client results dashboard on top of your retention dashboard. And internally, you're definitely going to need the standard financial suite of dashboards, as well as operations-based dashboards that are either going to measure output or time or uptime, but really they're going to be measuring the output per unit depending on your business.
Nick, following up on that, what are the biggest hiring mistakes companies make that kills their profitability?
For me, when it comes to hiring, it's that generally in the job descriptions that people post and the job descriptions that people present to new hires, there aren't enough clear objectives, metrics, and KPIs. So to me, the objective part is really, what is this role supposed to actually achieve? We are meant to do X. So for example, in a specific role, like a marketing role, maybe a client-facing role, your number one objective could be client retention. You want to retain clients for as long as possible, right? That objective needs a metric. And a metric in my book is something that is generally rear view mirror, very closely tied to revenue or some sort of financial result. So client retention or client churn would be a great metric. A KPI is a key performance indicator. And how I think about KPIs is they are front windshield kind of stuff. Like they are things that help you predict what's coming. To me, a great KPI of, say, client retention would be net promoter score, so like how likely somebody would be to refer us to somebody else. If we score really high, chances are they're pretty happy with us. Chances are we're not going to churn them. So it helps us predict whether or not client churn is on the horizon or not. So I think for the hiring is not enough emphasis on objectives that lead to clear metrics and clear KPIs. Then people start day one and they're confused when, hey, by the way, your role has to achieve the following. People are sort of confused and it might not be the job that they signed up for.
We're speaking with Nick Avaria, founder of Agency Acquisitions, a company that helps companies make top quartile profit and their employees make top quartile wages. Nick has spent over a decade as an agency owner and scaled several agencies past multiple 7 and 8 figures per year. He has bought and sold 7 agencies and is no stranger to merging leadership teams and company cultures. His philosophy is simple: make more profit, reinvest that into training your staff. They perform better, you pay them more, hire top performers to inject new energy into your team, and repeat. Nick started consulting with other agency owners when he saw how burnt out his peers were while trying to scale and working 60-plus hours per week. He wants them to see their hard work pay off so they can grow fantastic workplaces where clients and employees can thrive, all while spending less time behind their desk. He found a system that consistently scales agencies at high profits. Now, let's get back to the questions. Nick, how do you deliver service that turns your customers into lifelong partners? And what are your key KPIs?
Yeah, so there's a few things. So it doesn't matter what type of business that you're in, you need some sort of client onboarding. Now, if you're a B2B business, it might be a little bit longer and it might be, more personalized. So it's really about how white glove your margins allow you to go on client onboarding. And for me, the key objective and metric here is really client retention and net promoter score. Some people use something called CSAT, which is basically like how happy are you with the service that we're providing currently at this time. But what really matters for the onboarding is, it depends how, again, white glove you are. But if it's a B2B relationship, you should really think about this in the stance of 3 key items. Number 1, how well are we aligning expectations with the client? Number 2, how well are we educating the client? And number 3, what is the experience like? And you need items around all 3 of these things. So if we have clear alignment and expectations, we have a really good experience, meaning like maybe it's ad hoc gifting, maybe it's sending them like a DoorDash gift card for your first monthly meeting with them. And then education so that they can understand what we do better and fully comprehend the full value that we're doing. Those are generally the 3 things that we need to look at during a really solid onboarding.
A follow-up, or kind of a cousin to that, what are the top 3 most important things to scale profitability, and where does that show up on your dashboard?
Top 3 things to scale profitability, in my opinion, is your operations dashboard. So if you are a B2B company, for example, selling time, definitely having like a score sheet on billable time, things like that. If you're running a manufacturing firm, definitely like looking at your uptime on your machinery, et cetera. But generally in a lot of businesses, time seems to be the recurring item that is the limiting factor. So some sort of operations dashboard is going to help you maximize your day-to-day delivery and make sure that you are not running below your total ability to deliver. Because remember, things like sales general administrative costs, like rent, et cetera, these things don't really go up. They don't fluctuate. There's a lot of fixed costs baked in. So we need to be able to maximize the variable items to create as much top-line revenue as possible. Like that's definitely item number 1. Item number 2, to me, it's all about the client retention. So if I can maximize how long a client relationship is, that means the lifetime value of each customer goes up. That makes my business way more scalable at much, much higher profits. A third thing that I would somewhat worry about, but not fully, is customer acquisition costs. And now, obviously, customer acquisition costs has to be well below the lifetime value, ideally 3 to 1, if not less. But ultimately, what I want to see is that the customer acquisition cost is reasonable versus their lifetime value. And the reason that this enables you to scale is really simple. There's only so many leads that the sales or marketing side of the organization can funnel in at specific price points. So I literally look at this like picking like fruit off a tree. The lowest hanging fruit is always the cheapest to reach, but it doesn't mean that that fruit is good, by the way. So what happens is the more that you pay for customer acquisition, which a lot of people would say is bad, what you're going to see is that some of that more expensive fruit to pick is sometimes a bit more robust. It's bigger clients. It's clients that want to set up longer strategic relationships. That's why they cost more to onboard, because it requires more marketing touches, more sales time, more resources in general. And a lot of people in certain industries say, well, the customer acquisition cost for my industry is X, maybe like $1,000 or $50 or $5,000 per customer. And in those same types of industries, if you look at customer acquisition costs that are double, triple, quadruple the standard, people would say that is bad. And it is only bad if your client lifetime value cannot bear that cost. If it can bear that cost, what you're going to see is that a lot of these really expensive to obtain clients have much larger lifetime values. And like, this is why I'm really sitting on this point. I have made multiple businesses, including my own, a lot of money paying much higher customer acquisition costs, but having lifetime values instead of, my customer acquisition cost might be 3 or 4 times higher than benchmark standard. My client lifetime values are 10 times industry standard. So I come out on the winning end because nobody else is willing to pay this much to acquire these customers.
We're speaking with Nick Avaria, founder of Agency Acquisitions. Nick, is there anything I've not asked that you'd like to add?
I think the most important thing about dashboards and KPIs is this. It is our map for how to make the business better. It is not the end all be all. And this is what I mean by this. When you launch very good dashboards and KPIs, what's going to happen is that there will be some sort of short-term increase in business results, especially if you assign the key numbers of these dashboards to key roles in the business, meaning managers, department heads, etc. It's going to be good. However, backsliding will occur unless we have the proper structures in place to hold people accountable for the long term for these. Number one. Number two, managers and heads of departments and senior management have to look at dashboards and KPIs through the lens of the treasure map to help people make the right behavioral changes. So we get new data, we read it through the dashboard, we try to pinpoint the problem, and by pinpointing the problem, we then have to use our management and leadership skills to generate behavioral change within our people that report to us, so that way, the next time they do whatever it is that they're doing day to day, slightly changes, which the data of those activities will then be captured into the dashboards again, thereby creating an iterative loop. And a lot of companies have this broken because the proper management structure is not in place to hold people accountable to the dashboards and the objectives and the metrics and KPIs.
Nick, how can people get in contact with you?
You can find me at Nick Avaria on LinkedIn, same on Instagram, same on YouTube as well, or at agencyacquisitions.io.
Nick, thank you for joining us today on the BCF ORG podcast, The Business of Business.
Thanks for having me.
My sincere thanks to Nick Avaria for joining us today. Managing the performance and future direction of your company are two of the most important things you do as a leader. And I'm here to help you. If you'd like to reach out to me for business mentoring or consulting, help you with a podcast, schedule a speaking engagement, or potentially be a guest like Nick, please go to bcforg.com. There's a red Contact Us button in the middle of the homepage. These podcasts will be released the first and third Tuesday each month. This podcast is available wherever you get your podcast. In search, type BCF ORG. Be sure to leave a space between BCF and ORG. And I'm looking for this podcast to move from an upper mid-tier podcast to a top-tier podcast. Please leave a positive review, let your friends and colleagues know about it, and don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow the podcast. Join us for our next episode, 142, when our guest will be Mickey Kennedy, discussing punch above your weight. In business, running a successful, profitable business is the ultimate scorecard. You are never done and can always be better. It tends to be more fun than work, frustrating at times, but can be very rewarding. From BCF ORG Corp., I'm Brian Fisher, wishing you the best. Thanks.